Welcome to the online presentation. My name is Thomas and I'm a consultant helping out. We'll just wait a few more seconds and see if any more attendees want to join, and then the presentation will start. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Today we're here to learn about the capital raise that was just conducted by FluoGuide. Around 25 million SEK was raised. I would like to ask if anyone in the audience, the language preferences. Sometimes the company does the presentations in Danish, and that depends a little bit on the audience. I'll just enable a public chat, and you can please tell us which language you prefer. Especially if any of you prefer English, then please tell us. If there are only people understanding Danish, the management may do it in Danish. So, audience, I think you have a chat down in your lower right side of the screen. Yes, one Danish here. So basically, if any of you would like it in English, please speak out. Otherwise, we'll switch to Danish. Anyone wanting English? English. All right. We'll continue in English. Thank you very much. And without further ado, I'll pass the word on to Morten. And also, if there is any quality issue down or something, then please let us know. But Morten, please go ahead and start the presentation.
Thank you, Thomas, for the introduction, and thank you for participating today. I mean, I just want to give you some of the basic for FluoGuide, lining up to why we have done as we have done, an overview of the milestones, the pipeline, and then there will be some explanation about our rationale for the fundraising. And as always, just post your question, just come up with them, and we will address them either ongoing or in the end of the presentation. But as with FluoGuide, nothing really have changed. We maximize surgical outcome, and we do that by lighting up cancer. First, our disclosure, and then the agenda for today. As I mentioned, first a few words wrapping up of FluoGuide, background, pipeline, and milestones, and then the rationale for the fundraising. So this is, in a nutshell, what we're doing in FluoGuide. I mean, this is very hard to see where the cancer stop and where the normal tissues start. And we light up cancer, and by doing that, we enable the surgeon to clearly see the difference between the cancer and the normal tissue, and make them allow them to remove all cancer the first time. Excuse me. It's of course important for the surgeon, but even more important, of course, for the patient, because it can save their life, it can decrease the risk of disability, and also importantly, it can improve their quality of life in the sense that they should not go and wait for another surgery or a more aggressive treatment. They can get it all done on the first time, and I guess that every one of us, should we be in that situation, would prefer this. This is the result we published for the meningioma patient on the lowest dose that actually worked, was 8 milligram, constantly across the different patients. And as you can see on the left side, the answer is there. There were cancer. It was removed by FG, or lightened up by FG1, and it could be removed then by the surgeon. And there was nothing left after the surgery was conducted. We use UPAR as a target for our product. It's, in our view, a very brilliant target because on the one hand, it's very specific to cancer. It's marking where the cancer invade into the normal tissue, and that's exactly where the surgeon needs it, between the normal tissue and the cancer. It's cancer very specific to cancer, and the more aggressive the cancer is, the more UPAR is expressed. Moreover, it's not limited to the different kind of cancer, and that means that it will be expressed across more than 80% of all solid cancer that is appear in humans. And that brain is head and neck, it's lung, breast, pancreatic cancer, bladder cancer, and ovarian cancer. And that is really the target we are using for binding our Flu4, and that what, in our view, makes it quite unique. We can go into one indication, and we can spread out to to a more prevalent indication. That's exactly what we are doing. We're focusing in on the brain cancer as an entrance point into this field. And then we have initiated the study in lung, which is more prevalent indication among cancers. And then we can take the other cancers as we go on. But we have to prioritize and we have to make it smart. Excuse me. And that's why we go in with the brain cancer, which is quite a small number of customers. And then we expand to the last market now thereafter, where we can help a lot of patients with lung cancer. Our pipeline as an overview, we have completed the first part of the study now here in Q1. In the next few weeks, we will announce the histology result. We have started up, I mean, as I showed before, the meningioma is one of the brain cancer that have been demonstrated that FG1 lights up. And we will just start that study up later in the year. We also have started up the lung cancer, as explained. It will also be published here in the first quarter. That is really the key clinical pipeline we have ongoing. And that actually make it 2022 a very exciting year for us. We have 2 phase 2 results coming up at least. We have the one in lung, we have the one in aggressive brain cancer. And then now we also start the less aggressive brain cancer. So that actually make 3 phase 2 programs that will be reported during the year. We initiate the production of supporting the phase 3 program for manufacturing of FG1. Excuse me. And we will then have the first feedback for FDA, which is very important for confirming the design of phase 3. The milestones that we have achieved, you know them. I mean, we have delivered as we have said. And in 2023 actually will also be a very exciting year. We have a couple of phase 3 or pivotal studies that will be initiated. And we will be a late stage clinical oncology company. So coming into the fundraising, I mean, one of the reasons for us doing the 25 million SEK were that it gives us a lot of flexibility. And it's needless to say, very important in the current situation. The market is very uncertain and a lot of companies raise money right now. They do it in rights issue, where they have to give quite a substantial rebate and guarantors payment for be able to succeed it, because for the time they actually decide to do it until the time they execute going a couple of months, and during the current uncertainty that are on the market that actually influence the cost of doing it. So we had by doing this round enable us to give a lot of flexibility post the 3 phase 2 results. We will have one in aggressive cancer, one less aggressive cancer, meningioma and low-grade glioma, and then in lung. And the site is actually perfectly tailored to our need, and that was the reason why we do it. One more thing is that we got a new investor on board as well, and I think that you will tell more about that, Henrik.
Sure, thank you very much. But if you could push to the next slide, please.
Oops.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think that one is very important thing also in the whole this transaction also, that we experienced a very strong support from our existing and shareholders, but also we got a new very important shareholder into the company. So we choose to do it as an accelerated book building. Morten has already touched upon that. Typically, you have you could decide on a rights issue or a directed issue. And a directed issue you can do also as accelerated book building. And the reason why we did that was to make sure that we got the right price, that we got the right interest in the stock market. So we went out Thursday evening and did this accelerated book labeling, where ABG, which are our financial advisor, went out to a large number of institutional investors and family offices and discussed that. And we were able very quickly to close the transaction on 25 million Swedish crowns. In total, we received 13 new shareholders in the company. Arbejdernes Landsbank, Eastbridge, and Link, which is 3 of our major shareholders, existing shareholders, has been very supportive for this transaction and helped us to be able to go this and make it as a swift transaction. And then, as I mentioned, we had one new very important shareholder coming in. It's called OP Fund Management. and it's actually a part of OP Financial Groups, which is the largest financial service group in Finland. They have about 82 billion euros under asset management. So this is really a first tier investor we have received here, and we're really proud of that. We have had, of course, meetings with them, and until now they have stated that they are interested as a long-term investor in FluoGuide, which is really what we like. So I think that we have raised money, so we have the flexibility and ability to reach our goals with the free phase 2 program 2, where we expect that lung and brain cancer will be reported here in 2022, and then the others will come in 2022 or 2023. That's a little bit dependent on how fast we get that up and running. But as a second thing, which was important, is that we also get new shareholders into this to the company, so we can broaden out and have a much more safe and secure shareholder base. So I think that, Morten, if you could move to the next slide. This is just to give you an overview of where we are today. We have retail investors of about 39%. We have institutional investors, which is about 26%, and then management and founders has about 35%. The transaction we did was about 495,000 shares, and which is a dilution of the existing shareholders about 4.2%. And that's also reflected in the figures here that are not really moved a lot. And we still have about 9,000 shareholders in total. So I think that as Morten started up, nothing has changed in our pipeline. We have just secured that we are now able to do it, and we have at the same time gotten a new shareholder in. So I think that was what I wanted to say, and I will give the word back to Thomas.
Thank you very much, and thank you both for the presentation. You will see that there's a Q&A. Always someone has asked a question. Please use the Q&A box in the lower right side, and we will facilitate the answering of these questions. I'll start out with one which relates to current affairs, you can say, and I would like to ask the management, and is, how did the geopolitical situation of what's going on in Eastern Europe now, how did that impact your decision to raise capital now, and did it impact, how it was to raise the funds and so on?
Yeah, unfortunately, the situation right now in the world is pretty unsecure, and that has been reflected in the share markets, stock markets, everyone knows, and it means that the volatility is going up. The price jump up and down, and when you have to agree on a price with any investor 2 months ahead from the day you agree to it, because of it change a lot. You have to be reflected in the price. So yes, the cost of capital have gone up, the liquidity have gone, the volatility have gone up, and it really a lot of investors hold back on their money now for good reason. So yes, it's much more difficult, but still we're quite proud that we was able to raise money. We had support from existing investors, and as well, actually, we got a new, as Henrik mentioned, a first-year investor into supporting us going forward. So it's a quite a strong signal to be able to send in this market.
All right, we have questions coming in, 2 at least, and you'll see that on the screen. What is the estimated total peak sales for high-grade glioma, low-grade glioma, and meningioma? That's a rather exact question. I don't know if you're able to answer that, but maybe you can at least give some indication about how you are trying to assess this going forward.
It's I was just sitting and looking at it before actually the call here, because I had another question on exactly that question. Actually, I would like to give that in a more let's say written form, because I need to dive a little bit into the details to be sure I get it right.
Okay. We have another question here, which is...
Yeah, what I could say, Thomas, just is
Yeah,
that we agree with the APG report, but the APG report is not public necessarily because it's only for APG's customers. So let me look into it and make a proper statement on it afterwards.
All right. So this participant can write to Morten or the info email.
I will put it out on the homepage so you can see that
Okay.
after the presentation is completed here.
All right. If you don't find it, please write
Yes.
to the info email.
Yes.
A question from Morten here from another participant. It sounded in the presentations as if the phase 2 trial in lung cancer has been initiated. Was that a correct interpretation? Are you still waiting for the CTA approval from the Danish authorities?
Yes, I mean, when we submit a protocol, we have to submit it both to the ethical committee and the National Healthcare Agency, which in Denmark is the Danish Medicine Agencies. And we await approval for both of them. And when we have that, then we will go out and have the approval. It's done in a way that if you do not hear from them within 60 days, it's in principle approved. And that was why I phrased it as I did. But correctly speaking, we need the formal approval, which we will get here in Q1, we expect.
All right. We don't have any more questions from the audience. I'll come up with another question then. So you said last time we had a presentation like this, you said you were sleeping with your boots on regarding to you could always, if it was a good time to do a direct issue, you do that. If it was good time to do a rights issue, you would do that. Or if you could enter into any kind of other commercial agreement, you would do that. So maybe you can touch upon why it was the directed issue this time that was the most suitable when you were having your boots on, ready to go, and choose one of the options. So why was it you chose this option?
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned in this call, it's no secret that we of course prepare for everything: commercial partnership, rights issue, direct issue, everything all the time. Particularly we do it when the market is uncertain. Of course, we're extra prepared and all, so we're ready to move when we get an opportunity for it. In this time, I think that the direct issue, excuse me, was most appropriate because there's a very short time for making the decision actually to implement it. And in this very volatile market, as I mentioned before, if the share price goes up and down, and it's not only FluoGuide share that goes up and down, I mean, the whole market goes up as I mean, I haven't been seen for years, then a new investor would actually factor that into the price, and that means that they will like a larger discount. So that goes for guarantors, it goes for anyone involved in a transaction that lies a couple of months ahead will ask for that to be priced in. So therefore, I mean, the direct issue was very much the preferred one, and we could get a new institutional on board that can support us longer term. And we also need that regardless of how the market would develop. We have a lot of very exciting things coming up, 3 phase 2 program coming up this year. And there's a lot of exciting things to fund in FluoGuide for us to add value to patients and shareholder. So it would be kind of almost stupid not to do it that way. But I mean, that's how we see it.
Okay, thank you. So participants, if you want to ask any questions, please do. Otherwise, we'll finish the presentation in a short while. I have one more question for both of you, I think. And I think when I look at various companies at the size and the stage, which is similar to FluoGuide, it's very uncommon that you are able to find large-scale institutional investors, not only who participate in the directed issues, but also which stay on. And I hereby refer to Arbejdernes Landsbank and Link, who have stayed, as far as I know, kept their positions in the company, and now you managed to attract even more. Do you have any idea why FluoGuide manages to attract, this level of interest from these investors at this stage in the company's development?
Yeah, if you ask me personally, I would say that that's because the sector has been, I mean, the life science biotech sector has been squeezed the last 2 years for a lot of reasons. So it's very low price earning at the moment. And if you want to fill up in that sector, then go for quality companies, and many of our investors regard us as a quality company. So it's obvious to fill up some shares in FluoGuide in a time where the sector is low and you want to fill up. So we believe that the share price is relatively low at the moment, which make a lot of sense if you want to fill up shares. So I think that's the reason, Thomas.
All right, we got another question here, which is a typical one for a biotech company. How much will the current finances, or how long, I think, with the current activities? I think you have already thought about that.
Yeah,
so,
I think we put it out somewhere that will be mid next year approximately.
All right, so until mid next year at the least. All right, last chance to ask a question. Otherwise, I'll thank everyone for participating and listening. I understand there's another question coming up here. Let's do that. Are you planning on releasing any more information strategy update regarding the PPT therapy and what it means for the timeline of FT001? And here I think, Morten, if you would like to enlighten everyone, what is the PTT? Aberration, what that stands for, before you answer the question, please.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much for that question. I mean, it's photothermal therapy, and that's a specific feature that is with our FT1, that when you light on it, it will become warm, and that heat will actually destroy what is in the surrounding of it. And that's a way where you can very precisely kill cancer cell, because it binds very precisely to cancer cell. You light on it, it will heat up, and it will destroy the cells it's bound to. And to answer the question, yes, we are part of the study we're doing now, understanding the pharmacokinetics. I mean, the way FT1 bounds to the cells, it's removed from the tissue afterwards, and the different concentration levels and different times is quite essential input in designing the timeline for the development of the PTT therapy. So we expect that to come later in the year, how we would actually move that forward. But definitely is something we're looking at. And the reason for it is both because it adds potentially, obviously, benefit to the patient, but also by that we can convert that into a better price reimbursement, better price, and therefore commercially also means a lot for the company. So it is a very important feature that we will address and feed into our development.
All right, thank you. And there's another question here. Let's look at that. So any new indications going pre-clinical, or any new products besides FT001, FT002, and photothermal therapy? So do you have your hands full now? You know, what's your strategy? Can you please elaborate a bit on that?
Yes, I mean, we believe we have a quite good mix of indication products, both in terms of utilizing, I mean, releasing the value that is in this new and evolving market, in partnering, and also in risk mitigation. So I think we have a perfect pipeline right now, and so there will be no change in near terms of this.
All right, I think the next one is a question for Henrik, possibly. And that's a question whether a loan facility has been considered instead of a direct book building. And maybe you can explain a bit about, how, that would be typically what is called a bridge loan, and how that would normally work, and how that would position the company.
Yes. Yeah, I think that Morten mentioned it a little bit before, that cost of capital has gone up, and of course that has also on the loan facilities. You can use different kinds of loan facilities. You can have bridge loan, where you can, listen in the word, that you bridge to a certain event. We are looking at that we should be bridging for about 6 months or more. We believe that was very expensive, and it was very difficult to get a bridge loan with that in that length. It's typically you do that in a month or two. Second, you can do, and there's a lot of people doing that they're also offering convertible loans, and again, these are very expensive, and it's very difficult to negotiate. In Stockholm, in the Swedish market, they dislike convertibles because there has been some events in the years where we simply destroyed the company stock price and so on, because it was converting all the time and selling in the marketplace. So I think that for us it was we were quite sure that we should do it as a share transaction and then not as a loan transaction. You could also ask if you could do get a credit facility you could use, but I think that it's very difficult to get those in a cheap way because we are a biotech company with no revenues coming in. So we don't have any collaterals to put in front to the bank and so on. So all in all, the directed issue in the book building actually a book building transaction we felt was the most appropriate and fair for everybody.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, if I may add to it, I mean, the problem with some of the loan facilities are also that they can be quite complicated to explain to shareholders, even if they are principally straight and okay. So therefore, we have a principle of trying to stay away from it because we want to keep a simple ownership structure and make it easy for everyone to understand how it is.
It's indeed very transparent when you don't have these facilities. Thank you both. I think we are about to end the presentation. I don't know if any of you have any further comments or remarks that you would like to make.
No, I think the question have covered what
Yeah,
in my mind quite nicely. So
yeah.
I'm not more to add.
Henrik?
Nope.
All right. Then thank you both, gentlemen, for providing very good answers, and thank you for the attention from the participants. And I'll end the webinar in a very few seconds. So
Thank you for your time.
Another time, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.